This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net radio machine at 87 The Western Washington Amateur Television Society is a group of amateur radio enthusiasts that take to the airways with fast scan television. We have a repeater located up on Cougar Mountain. We transmit on 70 centimeters. It's a crossband repeater and spits out images at 1.2 gigahertz. To find out more about the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, Google WW7ATS. That's Google WW7ATS. That will take you to our homepage. There you'll find information about our club, the frequencies that we transmit on, and also you'll find a link where we stream our nets that are held on Wednesdays and Saturdays between 8 and 9 o'clock. And we utilize the 08 machine for our voice transmissions, WW7STR 147.08, known as the 08 machine, for our voice transmissions. So far, checked into the net this evening is Ron, KD7QKU, Richard, K7ITX, Jim, N7QO. Is there anybody else who would like to check in? I see James has checked in. WU7N. I'd like to check into the net this evening. Again, this is Dave, KD7CYM. Okay, let's get underway. Let's start off with Ron, KD7QKU in Tacoma.
Thank you very much, Dave. This is Ron, KD7QKU in Tacoma. So, I have a question right off the top for Richard. I have my Grand Stream plugged in tonight. Is my Grand Stream camera working? Can you tell me?
There's only two ways I would be able to tell if it's working. One way, I would have to know your address, or whatever they call that thing. I don't know. I don't know, the address for, everybody has an internet address, so I'd have to know either that, or, James would have to switch you in, because he can switch Grand Stream on, and then we would be able to see. So, there's my answer. Sorry it took me so long.
No comprende.
So I just plugged it in tonight.
That's right. I can switch you in because we're on Grand Stream right at the moment. Oh, okay. Okay, you can see Ron. Okay, so let me switch you in onto YouTube. Sorry, I'm rusty just like everybody else. Stand by, we're going to get you on YouTube.
On YouTube right now, but if I hold my hand over the camera, it doesn't make any difference.
It's impossible for you to be on YouTube. Literally impossible. So let me switch you in just a minute.
Let's move on to Richard then, K7ITX in Kent. Hello, Richard.
Ron, I I just had the wrong number here, so I tried to get Wade in there. Let's try you. Stand by. So, yeah, we have I saw you come up on Grand Stream, Ron, but no picture. It just got blank black on Grand Stream. But evidently I hear you're broadcasting on the repeater. So, anyway, we'll send it back to net control, and maybe he can help us out. K7ATS, back to net control.
See myself now. So I just turned my camera on. So I was playing with my switcher, and I wasn't sure which position. So I know which position now. That's what I wanted to know. So I think it's working fine. Thank you.
Problem solved. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. Well, let's go back to Richard, K7ITX.
Just popped in there, so, okay, great. Okay, so Grand Stream's working, and evidently, you were on a repeater earlier, or maybe still are. I'm not too sure of what happens when Grand Stream is doing its thing, but let's see, James is saying, oh, double again. Oh, I love it. Okay, so anyway, your YouTube picture looks impeccable, Ron, and as far as the 1.2 gig, I can't see it, so no comment there. Let's see. Oh gosh, not too much time has gone by, and we're getting Ron underway with some technical things, so I'll tell you what, I'll save my stories for the next round. K7ITX, back to net control.
ITX, let's see if Jim's with us. N7QO in Covington.
N7QO. Thank you, Dave. Good evening, everyone. I see the 1.2 gigahertz downlink. I've got you in color on that, Ron, but you are in and out a little bit. That's just kind of the way that it works at my house, at least for the last couple of years. So I just see Jim just popped up. Good evening. Dick, you're looking rather relaxed there. That's good. Just curious if you've seen any possums or maybe a cougar running around there. Holy cow. I had a busy day. Talk to you about that next time around, I guess. Now, back to you, Dave. Good to hear from you. N7QO.
QO, let's go to Bellevue to James, WU7N.
Quite well. And for the signal, the 1.2 megahertz transmitted signal off Cougar Mountain, it is coming and going because we have wind. Oh my goodness, do we have wind out my back door right now. There was a very large windstorm earlier in the week, and apparently this one's trying to meet that, so that would account for why the signal's coming and going. I can't explain why. Whenever we have heavy wind, it just does. So anyway, that's the video signal report and the audio signal report. If you want me to switch you the input over to something different, you need to let me know, or if anyone else wants to do that. Otherwise, I'll let it sit on the digital side input. Anyway, Dave, it's great to see you back. Of course, want to hear what you did while you were off in Arizona, and I'm sure you have plenty of exciting things to tell us about that. The big exciting news for this week is yesterday. It looks like the entire system that pretty much runs air traffic control in the United States, including the NOTAMs, Notices to Airmen, died yesterday, and they got it back up, but they still are dealing with the ripple effects of that, so that's really amazing. Hit in air travel, I don't recall anything like this happening until you go back to 21 years ago. So anyway, that's the first round news here from James, WW7N in Northeast Bellevue. Take it away, Dave.
Again, this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Is there anybody else who would like to join our net this evening? Hearing none, again, this is Dave, KD7ZYM in beautiful downtown Lake City, I might say. 49 degrees and drizzle outside. I guess we're going to have some heavy rain come about midnight and pretty well soak in the morning, so we'll have to see how that goes. Well, I survived the airline industry. Yesterday I was on a flight at 10 o'clock in the morning that got into Seattle at 1:30 in the afternoon, so I avoided the whole crush, even though it was starting about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So flights were on time, everybody was fine, the flight was full that I was on a Southwest flight, and I will admit that about 50% of the passengers were all masked up, as opposed to 10% when I came down pre-Christmas on the flight, where they only had about 10% of people unmasked. But down in Arizona, I got to enjoy some sunshine, got to enjoy some really heavy rain also for a couple of days. That Pacific Coast front came in through Arizona and dumped about an inch of rain in probably about a half hour. It really flooded the area around Scottsdale. But outside of that, the sun came back up, got a chance to get out, get around the neighborhood and the area, got a chance to do some dining at some very nice steakhouses, and there's no excuse to say, where's the beef? I had the beef, so it was good. I enjoyed that pretty much. The only side effect is my host has 4 cats and a dog, and I have an allergy to cats. So my sniffles went on for a month. I tried taking antihistamines, but that kind of worked for about half a day. These were 24-hour antihistamines, but I'd say they were probably reduced to 12-hour antihistamines. So that was about it. Then got a chance to do a lot of things around the area. So this is Dave, KD7ZYM in Lake City. So let's move it back up to Ron, KD7QKU.
Okay, well thank you very much, Dave, KD7ZYM in the group. This is KD7QKU. Well, let's see, I haven't been doing very much. I didn't do much today. I went to a doctor. It's the last doctor's appointment I think I have for 6 months. I saw my cardiologist today, and he said I didn't have to come back to see him for a year, so that was good news. So, my foot, leg, whatever it is, I haven't had the boot on for a week or so now, and it doesn't hurt much anymore, so I'm pronouncing that pretty much healed. So, let's see, we're going to have to go grocery shopping tomorrow. I think we're running out of everything. I don't know that there's much wind blowing here, James. You would think there's a lot of wind. I can't see my favorite tree. Over in the park, there's an Alaska cedar, and that's my wind indicator. The limbs are long and limber, and if there's any breeze, it blows around. Oh, and Richard, thank you very much for working with me with the Grandstream. I'm in my normal computer. You know, I'm not using 1.2 tonight. So I had a laptop in there and it didn't work very good. I had a terrible time getting Zoom on it the other night. I didn't think I was going to manage, and so I talked to Bob about it, and I was going to try to uninstall some things on it. It's so full of stuff. It was unbelievable. It came to the lady that passed away. So anyway, he said the best thing for me to do would be to get Wayne just to wipe it clean and reinstall Windows, and then I wouldn't have any of that problem. So, and I don't know, it's not a very fast computer, I don't think. But anyway, I called Wade, I'd taken it over to him after lunch today. So he's going to wipe it clean. sent me a text message. He thought he was going to be here tonight. He said, I'll see you tonight, but then he sent me a text message saying he had a Boy Scout function and he wouldn't be able to make it. So, it was real warm here today. It was just like spring, actually. I was outside. It was 50-some degrees. Made me have spring fever. But that's about all I did today. Back to that. KD7QKU.
K9PQ.
Go ahead, Bob. This is Dave, KD7ZYM. PQ, Bob, go ahead.
Double.
K9PQ, this is KD7ZYM, and this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society.
Okay, hey Dave, I guess time getting the repeater tonight, probably due to the wind, and I actually worry about my antenna tipping over, so I'm going to go bring the antenna down and not this building. So I'll be back in a few minutes. Back to net control, K9PQ.
Q, thanks for checking in, and we'll be back to you in a few minutes. Well, let's go back down to Richard, K7ITX.
Good. I'm like Ron. Wind? What wind? I checked. We have the new fancy weather station, so, I'm gonna get some accurate data here, if you know what I mean. Now, how about a 2-mile-per-hour gust right before we went on the air? So, that's what we're dealing with in Kent and Tacoma, evidently. But as far as, and get this, I can tell you it's 48.8 degrees down on the patio, but 48.4 on the deck. So I got that figured out. And what else can I tell you? We're standing at, right now, at about a 1-inch total rainfall for the month. Actually, my station actually says about 1 1/8 inch, but if you remember, I told you I poured about 1/8 of an inch in to test it out the other day. So we're standing right about 1 inch, so I'm looking forward to see how much it grows from there. What else can I tell you? Let's see, the wind was out of the east. And the barometer, it appears to be, the barometer is pretty much steady. So I got agreements to both barometers pretty much right now steady. Really, about the only thing I've been doing is just busy personal stuff, but football was the name of the game, on Sunday. I mean, for what I like to watch anyway. Probably one of the more, and I'm always, the reason why I like stuff on Sunday, because it's more social, oriented with professional types, and for whatever reason, I like older people. I don't know. But here's the thing. I think I told you guys about someone that had a heart attack in the middle of the field, and they, saved his life right in the middle of the football field, and blah blah blah, and they stopped the game. They never played the game, and I was wondering out loud, maybe he would have actually 10 years ago probably would have died, and they probably would have continued the game. So it's different times. On Sunday, when someone gets hurt in the middle of the field again, that a football player would know not to shove around the medical personnel that are trying to help the injured person. I mean, everything that happened 4 days before on Monday, or whatever it was, and then Sunday, and then, I think it's reflex, I really do. I think, he got pushed, and he said, the minute I pushed that guy, I knew I was screwed. Anyways, he was ejected. So anyway, that's what I have for this round. K7ITX.
7ITX, thanks for that. And it's time for a quick ID again. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Let's go to Covington, to Jim, N7QO.
N7QO, thank you, Dave. Well, let's see. Dave, cat allergies. Man, maybe you should lock the cats in a different room or something, or lock them out of your room. I feel for you on that. I know people who have other allergies, and they can be quite a problem. Ron, grocery shopping. Yeah, good luck with that. It's supposed to rain quite a bit tomorrow, and I guess Friday as well. So take your raincoat or something. Jim, windy? Yeah, I could believe that. Let's see, where I am, walking outside, it's drizzling lightly. There's not really any appreciable wind down by my house. However, I can hear trees rustling out there, so maybe if you go up in altitude just a little bit, it gets to the trees. I don't know. In a way, I'm in a slightly protected area here, depending upon the direction from which the wind is coming. Dick, yeah, Damar. Yeah, the Lord was looking out for him. Good that he's recovering. I missed that comment about he knew he was in trouble, but it certainly looked like he got up quickly, and it looked like he was okay until he wasn't. So, man. And also, question about your rain gauge. Does that need emptying periodically, or does it automatically empty over a period of time? Just curious how that works. Back to you, Dave, N7QO.
7QO. Let's pick up James in Bellevue, WU7N.
Well, isn't it amazing they can make your toilet doesn't auto-flush, nor does the seat automatically come down. The wish of every wife in America, I think. Anyway, well, Dave, I'm glad you made it in. Sounds like you have impeccable timing. You just missed the giant traffic jam on the North American continent. That's good. And Ron, good news about your foot and your heart. I mean, when you know someone right now is saying they don't want to see you again, that's usually good news. And just so everybody knows, Windows 7 extended support is coming to an end. They say they're not going to be giving out the security updates to Windows 7. So I still have one machine on Windows 7 that I use for occasional stuff, surfing and checking mails and stuff. So I guess that will finally come to an end here. Interesting. So down in Kent, there's no wind, and Tacoma, there's no wind, but up towards Edmonds and Everett, I guess there's definitely wind, and there's wind here. So it sounds to me like it's coming in from the northwest, I would guess. The show is I'm going to share a screen here and then see if I can start it, or if this computer will completely lock up. I'm going to try and share a scene from the movie Top Secret. Okay, and it goes for about a minute, so I'll have to tell you what's going on.
Connected, K9PQ.
Nazis, they've come off the middle of the road, and now in the middle of the Nazi thing, what do they see? It's a Pinto. And what happens when the German World War II vehicle hits the Pinto? Of course, it explodes in flames. Everyone saw that because I learned something today. I just put something in the comments here. This is the history guy. I follow him on YouTube. He does excellent history analysis, and he did a special on the Pinto. And I learned something today. This became almost a mythological Ford failure, but actually the real statistics is you were just as safe in a Pinto as you were in a Gremlin, and you're probably a lot safer than you were in a Volkswagen Beetle. And so it really wasn't that bad, but this mythos has grown out that Ford made this evil decision, that they could have fixed it all, but they made the gas tank out of recycled milk bottles. It just gets better and better. This was an evil thing for the exploding Pinto, to the point where it's even made fun of in goofy movies. But actually, it was bad, but then again, traffic safety in the 60s and 70s was bad everywhere. I mean, there were still cars being made without seatbelts. Airbags weren't in common use, or I don't think even invented yet. So anyway, check out the link in the digital stream comments there, because I found that was one of the best little analysis of history, including how history gets rewritten or revised as new data is found. As people start writing books, they come forward because they would have lost their job at the time, but 30 years later, who cares? So anyway, I just thought that was a really good link. WW7N.
WW7N, thanks for that. When it comes to Pintos, it brings back memories to me covering Mount St. Helens. We'd gone into a little local airport with our helicopter but needed some ground transportation. And the guy at the airport had a Pinto, and he says, "You're welcome to it." So for about 4 days, I was moving around Mount St. Helens with a Pinto, hoping that it wouldn't blow up, covering the Mount St. Helens issue. But anyway, getting away from that, it's kind of interesting. Before I left, in November, I got a notice from the bank on my checking account that I had 2 checks with the same number on them, and one was for $175, which I knew nothing about. So I challenged the bank, and they brought up the pictures on the computer, and lo and behold, that $175 check was an overlap that IA decided my check number was the check, because the information on the bottom of my check was overlapped on this $175 check. So anyway, they said they'd credit to me, and when I got back, I've done my mail, and I did get a letter from the bank saying they did credit my account for $175. So anyway, they did make good on that. And I went through about 4 weeks of mail. I'm amazed how much junk mail you get in 4 weeks. So I would say almost half of the mail was junk mail. So that was good. The other thing, I got out for buying some groceries today, and I was kind of amazed. It seems like the prices are about 10% more expensive here in the Seattle area than it was down in Phoenix, Arizona. So I imagine that's because the agricultural and beef is from Texas, and it's close in, and so it's a lot cheaper. So anyway, that was an uneventful thing of getting the groceries established for the next couple of weeks. So I will eat well, I will say. So that's about what was going on there. And I guess that about wraps it up that I can say from here in wonderful Lake City. This is Dave, KD7ZYM. So let's go up to Ron, KD7QKU.
We missed Jim, but I don't know.
Jim back. N7QO.
7QO. Okay. So what was going on with me today? I needed a blood test, and it took more than 3 hours to accomplish that. I went to the local lab, and the waiting line was like, oh my God, long. It took about 2.5 hours to get in there, for one thing. And then I was speaking with the woman who stuck me, and she said that, yeah, they're overwhelmed today because the facility in Kent is closed and a facility in Maple Valley is closed. So all of the people who would have gone to those are going to Covington. So they've got triple the volume supposedly, and they said it's because of staffing. So a couple people call in sick, and it's not like they're well staffed to begin with. But anyway, there were 2 people there helping stick as many people as they can, and that shot the better part of half a day just there. So anyway, that's one thing that I don't have to do. So much for that. Let's see. Jim, you mentioned something about NOTAMs. Yeah, I'll get back to that on next round. I forgot to comment on that. That's been a problem. Anyway, back to you, Dave, and 7QO.
Well, let's go to James, WU7N.
I'll go again here. I think Bob Helling put a message in saying he's on Echolink. So let me just put a quick comment here that 3 hours for a blood test, well, that sounds like expedient, expedited service. Last time I did something in the medical world, it was to do a drive-by drop-off for a pre-op appointment with a friend of mine. I expected it to be like, an hour maybe, because pretty much if you're still breathing, they just say, yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. That was a 12-hour marathon, and then the next day things went sideways. I ended up leaving him at intensive care. So, I guess this is just what we're all living with. I guess the good news is most of the people I'm talking to are saying that their appointments are 6 months out or something like that. So I guess that's just what we'll have to live with a while until things get caught up with. Anyway, this is James, WU7N. I guess I'll pass it back to Dave, Net Control, and let's see if Echolinks works with Bob.
WU7N, let's go up to Ron and then followed by Bob.
Okay. The repeater was IDing there. This is Ron, KD7QKU. Well, Jim, N7QO, we have a lab over here in our little clinic. It's, CHI Franciscan. And man, is that lady good. And there's never a waiting line. You go in, you sign your name on the little tablet, put the time, and she's there in just a second, and you're in. The first time I went in, a guy was coming out, and he said, man, is she good. Well, she is. I mean, she puts the rubber strap around your arm, and I guess I was not paying attention, and next thing I know, she's taking the rubber strap off. I don't think, felt it. But that wasn't really what I was going to talk about. So I was looking at YouTube, James talked about YouTube. I use this Fire Stick, and I have YouTube on it. And there was Tim Allen, the actor Tim Allen, and he was showing all of his cars in his garage. So he has probably 20 or 30 beautiful cars and stuff in an old truck, and it was fun. He told about each one of them and everything. And then I think the next day I found Jay Leno, and holy smokes, man, Jay Leno maybe has 50 cars. I don't know how many cars he has. Great big garage. He has a staff that works for him, and beautiful cars. And let's team that was there visiting, and they were out driving. He was letting them drive. The guy with the handlebar mustache, that's a big car guy. Oh golly, I know his name, I just can't say it. Senior moment here. But yeah, that was fun, looking at their cars. I like cars, so it was fun to look at their cars. Jay Leno has a collection of everything, whereas Tim Allen just mostly had nice cars and pickup and one truck. He likes trucks. He had one truck. I don't even know what it was now. It was a very unusual truck. Old, probably late, 30s. But it was a very unusual truck. Darren, I should remember it too, but I can't. But anyway, Jay Leno, he has, you name it, he's got it. I mean, he's got weird stuff. And I think I told Richard or somebody, maybe I told you guys. He has all kind of other things besides cars. And he said that in his profession, a lot of people would call him up or send him, an email and tell him that they had something that they thought he would like. And so he had this engine that a lady's grandfather, I think was the story, had worked at MIT, and he had built this engine, every part of this motor, and it was big. And he was going to patent it, but I guess he died before he patented it. It was very, very unusual, nothing like it in the world. And Jay said that it was one of their next projects to see if they could get it running. But he showed it. It was pretty amazing, pretty intricate. So I suppose it was built maybe in the 30s or early 40s, but it was way ahead of its time, I think, in the design. So anyway, that's it. Back to net, KD7QKU.
QKU, well, let's see if Bob's with us. K9PQ.
Well, good evening, everybody. How am I coming through? Good. Well, let's see. Yeah, it's a couple of beautiful days it's been. I got out a little bit yesterday, and today, speaking of shopping, I did my shopping, and I bought more than usual, more than my usual amount. I kind of let as Ron was talking about, things got kind of low around here. So I bought more than my usual weekly shopping, but it was twice the price of my usual weekly shopping. So I think that's more than just buying extra. I think that some of that inflation effect is showing up there. It's been a while since I've been on, so it's nice to be back. And I just kind of lost track of time a little bit today. Sorry to be late, but it's good to be back with you guys. And Dave, good to see you back again. Glad to have you back around here locally again. Let's see. I honestly didn't have a full lot prepared to talk about, so I think I'll just send it back to you, Dave, and maybe I'll come up with something next time around. Back to you.
Thanks for joining the net. Let's pick up Richard again. K7ATS in Canton.
Well, so golly, yeah, you guys have covered a lot of business, so let's see where I can pick up. Let's see, litter box. I've actually had a conversation with a nurse in a hospital who actually, when I asked her, is it okay if I have a cat? And she said, yes, but you can't mess with the litter box. So I don't know why I brought that up. It's not very often you hear people talking about litter boxes. So and it's happened to me now twice in 2 days. That's pretty weird. What else? And yes, the rain gauge. No, the cat's not in the hospital. But the rain gauge has, I wondered the same thing, but I thought, wait a minute. I'm sure it vents out the bottom. Of course it does. So what it does, it's a funnel, and it seems to be calibrated, you would hope, accurately, so that it measures the water as it goes through this little funnel and drains out the bottom. And so we'll see how accurate it is, won't we? This is the test. I already know it's an eighth over because I screwed around with that. Oh, and here's another good topic. Was that you, James, that brought that up? Or someone brought up the fact that, it's real important for men to, drop the toilet seat down after you're done having it up. Well, the only reason why, I didn't want to even think of this, but you guys brought it up, and I have to tell you about this toilet seat that I have now. When I got trained to correctly lower the toilet seat down, so that was quite an accomplishment because I never did it for decades. Well, I got trained to do it. But this new toilet that we just got, I think I told you about, and the new toilet seat that came with it, guess what? All you have to do is just give it a little push, and it goes down by itself. Where all the other ones in the house, I have to literally not let them slam down. So anyway, I think it's pretty cool to have one that won't slam and close and drops down automatically. Did I time it out? So anyway, you missed the best part then. Toilet seat goes down automatically and doesn't slam. Nope, you didn't time out. Oh, okay. Nope, you didn't time out. Oh, okay, great. A proud owner of a Pinto right now, by the way. Yes, I know, but it doesn't look like one. Right now has the chassis, it is the chassis to a 1929 Mercedes Gazelle. So it's pretty cool looking, but it's a Pinto. What can I say? Just how my dad, Pintos are pretty cool cars. They actually had another one too. The engines were just, bulletproof, and I think a lot of Pintos are used in hydroplanes, actually. Well, that's a nightmare about the blood test, because I've been there, and now thanks for the heads up, because I'm supposed to have one in, any day within the next 7 days, and I think I better have my antennas up before I go out. K7ATS, back to net control.
X is go on to Jim in 7QO.
In 7QO, thank you, Dave. Well, yeah, good luck about the blood test, and thanks for mentioning that about the rain gauge. Your weather station there, Dick, I don't know, it's sort of, I would almost expect two separate units. It just seems to me the rain gauge should be separate from the wind information. I would expect that the anemometer should be mounted up on a pole somewhere where you couldn't really get to it, but then you wouldn't be able to empty the rain gauge if it needs it. So the rain gauge needs to be down closer to the ground, but I don't know. You'll see what happens, I guess. And let's see. Oh, yeah. NOTAMs. That has been problematic since the get-go. says to airmen, it's supposed to be for any sort of temporary items which need to be notified, like let's say the runway lights are out of service, or a crane is operating somewhere in the vicinity of the airport. Supposed to be something of a temporary nature, but I have seen some of these temporary things go on for years. I could think of something that was on for 3 years. I don't remember what it was, but that should make it into the regular charts. Let me reset. It just seems to me that if it goes on for longer than a certain period, they should remove them from the NOTAMs and put it into an official publication, which they could revise at a later date whenever they decide to eliminate that condition. So, as a pilot, you have to read through all of these things which could affect you, and sometimes the list gets very lengthy. So it's been a problem from day one, and it seems to me that several years ago, probably between 5 and 10 years ago, maybe somewhere in there, probably more than 5 years ago. Anyway, I'm not sure, but I think they outsourced that to a private vendor. So it may be a different vendor that's actually doing that work, and maybe that's part of what went wrong. Don't know exactly. More than likely someone inadvertently did something which they should not have done, and maybe they weren't even aware of it, but I know when things happen during the middle of the night and people aren't really functioning properly, things can and do go wrong. So I don't know, glad they got the problem figured out anyway. It certainly messed things up. Yeah, like 9/11, Jim. Oh well. Glad I wasn't flying then. Glad you made it back by then, Dave. Back to you, Dave, on 7QO.
Thank you. Let's go to James, WW7ATS.
Well, I have to comment on the auto landing toilet seat. Now, whoever invented this is a genius. You've all seen, I push the toilet seat a little bit, and then from the up position, and it just slowly lands. It's so cool. Of course, when someone visits my house, I can always tell if they have the coolest and latest and greatest plumbing accoutrements, because when they go to the bathroom, you hear a big slam noise, as it is, because they're expecting that. They're so used to that, they don't remember it. So that's always amusing. I don't think I'll ever change mine out just because of that. It's just, too much fun to hear the slam come out of there. Let's see. Oh, the rain gauge. Richard, some of them, I recall, do some kind of tipping thing. Either they get full and they tip, and they count the tipping, and that's how that they run it. But then the more solid state you can make a weather station, the greater the survival rate. Visiting a point out in Oregon in a car with a friend of mine, and it was so windy we had to be very careful to try and open the door of the car, or the wind would rip the door off the car. That's how strong the wind was gusting and blowing around. But we were able to get out of the car and make our way into this building, and the guy had a big anemometer on the wall that was saying, gusting to 50 knots or whatever it was. I mean, it was really blowing. And I said, gee, what kind of measurement tool do you have to measure that wind? He says, we only get the marine ones. The normal ones, like you would buy, don't even last 2 months around here. They actually just get blown to bits. I found this great image of a Pinto here, but I guess the cameraman was just a little late on getting the picture. Getting the picture. It was just a little late. There must have been a gust of wind coming from behind the Pinto, and he was just too late. So that's the only picture he got. But anyway, well, no, enough with the Pinto jokes. I'll stop now. Really, I will. Let's see. The other thing I was going to say is, yeah, those notices to airmen. I recall the system was quite good in the 90s, and then they outsourced it. I think it was to Lockheed. And wow, did that ever go downhill? Because you would try, and then they went over to the online system, and you would try to read your notices to airmen, and it would just go on and on and on. And I jokingly said to a friend of mine, yeah, but you're only supposed to read the important ones that apply to you. And there was someone else who overheard that, who scurried up to us and said, how do you do that? How do you do that? I said, no, that was a bad joke. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have joked like that. Anyway, that's so much of wisdom and philosophy of life from James, Whiskey Uniform 7 November in Northeast Bellevue. Let's turn back to Dave with the Western Washington Amateur Television Society.
7N, thanks for that. And it's ID time again. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society. And on the 08 machine, I'm Dave, KD7CYM. Also, the net acknowledges Wade, W7ITL, has joined the net. And we were talking about some medical issues. My son had the unfortunate part of when this ice storm hit a couple of weeks ago. He fell down in his driveway trying to get to his car and broke his arm in 3 places. And he had to get in to see an orthopedic doctor. And so it took, well, roughly 8 days until they could schedule surgery. Needed to put in a steel plate. And lo and behold, last Thursday was the day for the surgery. Went into the hospital and got a COVID notice. So then the surgery was put off again till yesterday, and he got the surgery yesterday finally, and the steel plate put in. So he's in a sling with a splint, and it will be probably another week till he gets a cast put on. They like to leave the wound open when they've done a steel plate graft. So we'll have to see how that goes. He says he's in moderate pain, but outside of that, he just doesn't give a damn. He's had some good drugs. That was his report. So I'll keep you posted what happens there. This is Dave, KD7CYM. Let's go up to the top to Ron, KD7QKU.
Thank you, KD7QKU here. So I was just going to show you someone put on my Facebook. It said Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson walked into a bar to watch the playoffs featuring Geno Smith. So I thought maybe Richard, if he hasn't seen that, he'd get a kick out of it. So we were talking about Pintos. I had friends that had some Pintos a long time ago. They were really a pretty good little car. Easy on gas and very dependable. Of course, it's like anything. If you take care of it, it lasts quite well. If you don't take care of it, nothing lasts. Rain gauges. So, Richard, I've had a rain gauge. It's just an independent rain gauge. It's not with a wind gauge or anything. And so I had it up on the roof for years. And it got to where it didn't seem to be accurate. I usually measured the rain a little bit different than the SeaTac airport did, or maybe the weatherman did. So I decided I needed to go take a look at it. Well, it was covered with green slime and moss. So I had to bring it in the house and take a toothbrush and spray it and practically disassemble it and clean it all up. So I guess, you have to put batteries in them every now and then. But mine, the little cup fills up and then it tips over. So that works pretty good. And then I saw Mika walk by there, and you were talking about litter boxes. So we've never had clumping litter. So I want to know if any of you guys use clumping litter and how that works. So we've just, have the stuff that's kind of like, I don't know what it is, like sand. always used that. I mean, as long as I've had the cat, 12 years I've used that. But Joanne all of a sudden thinks we should have clumping litter. And it's more expensive. I buy the absolutely cheapest stuff I can get by the 25-pound bag. And I usually buy at least a half a dozen at a time and then lay them on the floor in the garage and back the car over them and then use them. But we're just about out again now, and Joanne wants to do clumping litter, so you can tell me about that. And this is for you airplane guys. There's a program on, it might be called Wild Alaska Air, and it's about kind of a family that runs an airport up in Alaska. They fly these little charter airplanes all over. And I was watching it the other day. I have different TV now. I have a Fire Stick, so I look around to see what I can find on it. So I found that, and I remember seeing it, so I watched it. And it was a good one. It was a snowstorm. The wind was blowing. The whole 30-minute program was terrible. So they had a new pilot, and they were kind of getting him used to flying in Alaska. And they were flying, and the plane was icing up. The wings were icing up. And apparently he wasn't too familiar with that, so the co-pilot who was had pushed the brown button, and apparently it sheds the ice on the leading edge of the wing, which was kind of a unique thing. I'd never heard of that before. So it must warm up the leading edge of the wing, and then the ice falls off. So I don't know. Maybe you guys can tell me more about it. So that's the last of my notes. So hello, Wade. Oh, I'll just say to Wade, my wife had a computer problem, and I had to give Wade a call. I was going to ask him for some help, but I think I solved the problem. So we'll find out. She'll try it again. It was one of those things where they seized your computer. Her computer was locked up. She come running in and said, there's something terrible on my computer. And I don't know. But anyway, I got rid of it. Apparently, I hope I did. Okay, back to that KD7QKU.
7QKU. Let's go to Bob, K9PQ in Bonnell.
Okay, well, hello guys. I have a lot of notes and a lot to say, but I'm told by Lee that I have a very short time to say it, so I'm going to go as fast as I can. Okay, if you can't beat them, join them, so let's talk litter and toilet seats, okay? I did switch to clumping litter, and here's why it's worth the extra money, Ron. You don't have to dump the entire litter every time you clean the cat box. You just scoop out the clumps and add a little bit more, and I use the one I think it's called World's Finest or something like that, and it's made from corn and corn husks or something, and what that allows is flushing. You don't even have to throw anything away. You just take out the clumps, flush them down the toilet, and then you put the seat down on your toilet. And my toilets, my new ones I just got recently, have the seats that go down slowly. And I did exactly what James talked about when I was visiting a friend's house. I just hit the seats, just put them down, and wham, it went down. And I think it was fine if we didn't hear it, but it embarrassed me. Let's see. The temporary notices for airplanes, that's really interesting to me, Jim. And you said you have to go through a lot of them. Are they for specific airports? And so like every destination you go to, you have to read it for that destination? I'm curious about that. I like the joke on the Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson joke. That's a good one. And let's see. I just bought myself a Tyler Lockett jersey. I have a Russell Wilson jersey, which I don't wear anymore. I did not burn it. I'm still keeping it, but I'm not wearing it anymore. It's a little late. Unfortunately, it's going to get delivered after this weekend, which probably means I won't wear it till next season, considering I don't give us a chance against the 49ers. But at least I'm going to get one, and I've liked Tyler Lockett since he first got here. Okay, hopefully I haven't timed out. Back to K9 PQ.
Thank you. The clock is 9 o'clock, so I guess we have to wrap up the net. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. We'd like to thank the SeaTac Repeater Association for letting us use WW7STR's 08 machine 147.08 for our voice transmissions for our nets for the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. So with that, I'll conclude our net. This is Dave, KD7ZYM. Good evening all. 9 o'clock, signing off the 08 machine. Again, this is Dave, KD7ZYM. Good evening all.
If you're still there, Whiskey Alpha 7 Delta Echo. And PQ disconnected.
Delta Echo, was it? I heard?
Yeah, Whiskey Alpha 7 Delta Echo. Name is Wade, just like the call sign. Is there another Wade on frequency?
Over here.
There's a lot of doubling going on. I didn't get any of that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's another Wade. It's me here. Whiskey 7 India Tango Lima. I didn't get your call.
It's Whiskey Alpha 7 Delta Echo, just like my name, Wade. Over.
You got a good one there.
I don't know what's happening. Every time the repeater comes back on, it seems like it sounds like it's a signal interfering for a while. Anyway, I also flew a lot for a career, and I was just going to comment on some of the airplane questions that people had, but it sounds like the net's over. I was a little too late when I got here.
We do it twice a week, 8 to 9 every Wednesday and Saturday. So yeah, come join us again. But yeah, nice to meet you, Wade.
Okay, and are you also the other Wade that I heard referred to on frequency? You're going to have to give a short break because when the repeater comes back, all I get is a burst of noise for about 2 seconds.
Because you're on a different, there's two repeaters that are active on this site. We use not the Cougar. I think it's the Cougar one, or it's the Tiger Mountain one we use. So it has a PL tone of 110. So if you're using the other PL tone, it might be, we might be battling it out every time we try to talk.
No, I thought it was 110 that I put in my machine, but I could be wrong. I did it on the fly. All right, well, 7-3, nice chatting with you, and I might try to come join you guys later in the week. It sounded like fun. Whiskey Alpha 7 Delta Echo, Wade, in beautiful downtown Suquamish.